is Kimberly Edson. I'm the head of Reader Services. What does that mean? I think it means we're the fun part of the library. One of the things that I do that may be of interest to you is I select the feature films for the library, and I'm also manager of the adult programming for the library. But what I'm most proud of is our international film collection and our American independent film collection. Rochester has a very sophisticated film viewing audience and not a lot of great places to see films. We just have the major theaters. We do not have an art house theater yet, although I understand one is coming. Yet there's still an appetite for the people in this community for those types of films. And as a library, we've always felt it really important to help satisfy that appetite. And there's some really important reasons for that. I believe that film represents part of our cultural record. For good or for bad, film represents what's happening in the world today, attitudes, ideas, concepts, and I think the power of film and the visual story is so incredible. It helps us to build empathy. It helps us to see things from a different perspective. I also think the international films are really important because I think it's a good idea to get perspectives from outside of our own country as how we as humans deal with the human experience, the human questions, and film has an amazing way of doing that. Well, books tell stories. Books are informative. Films tell stories, and films can be informative. It's just another format to tell a story. And libraries are very interested in collecting the cultural history of our community, of our world, and it's just one artistic expression for which story is communicated. Oh, there's so many factors that go into that decision. Luckily, there's a lot of different tools. One of the most important tools for me, though, is what people are interested in viewing and seeing and exploring. And there's a couple ways that patrons tell us that. I watch very carefully the use patterns of the materials that we have, so I can kind of see trends for different types of materials. We also have a recommend for purchase process. And for me, I look at the different outlets that people have for film and what is the unique role that the library provides. There's tons of outlets for seeing first-run popular films. Not a lot of outlets for books, the bestseller books, in terms of consumer access, but for movies, there's a lot of that. What there isn't a lot of is that deeper access to older classic films, avant-garde independent films, and films of prominence from around the globe. So, there's two ways for me to that I initially perceived that question. I just have to talk about challenges to material because I think one of the things that people don't realize is that in addition to supporting the library's freedom to read, which we recently highlighted banned book weeks, where there are people who would like to restrict access to books, there are people who are interested in restricting access to films. And as the selector for the fiction collection, the feature film collection, the recorded music collection, of those collections, the one that I received the most challenges to, or the ones where our public asks us to reconsider access, is the film collection. There's something about that visual media that is a challenge to someone. It is really fun to take the time to have to re-examine why we buy what we do. And it is also interesting, some of the tensions film especially creates when you're sharing and exploring ideas. In terms of the other question, how do we get people who aren't film viewers to be excited about film? We offer a number of programs here. We specifically highlight films that people may not otherwise have access to. We have our iFilm program. We work with the film movement. They agreed that the library has a role in helping to promote film, and they worked with us, and they gave us a very reasonable opportunity to provide public performance rights to highlight their curated films of the world's best international films and American independent films. And we've been doing that program since 2000, and now there is a nationwide library program that we helped create. Another program that we offer the library purchases a blanket license for a number of studio releases. And we're working with a film aficionado volunteer, Vernon, who is helping to support a program called Films to See Before You Die. So if you're not sure what all this big deal is about these films, please come to the library for free viewing, and we'll even provide you popcorn. The iFilm is always the second Wednesday of the month. We also have a French film series that we do the third Wednesday every other month, and then the Films to See Before You Die are on Mondays, but if you go to Rochester Public Library, let me rephrase that. If you go to rplmn.org, click on the calendar of events, do a search for films, you'll see all of the library's film programs, and they're all free and open to the public. Best-selling book, Man Called Ove, and there's lots of disagreement how we say Ove. That's a great Swedish book about a curmudgeonly old man and how he's just coping with life or not coping with life after his wife dies. And they made this into a movie, and it follows the book so beautifully. It has certainly the old curmudgeonly Swedish gentleman, but also his international neighbors and how different cultures connect and how interconnected we are as a people. It's a beautiful, beautiful film.
Jag har flyttat in ett par nya grannar där mitt emot.
Vi tänkte kanske bara att du är lite hungrig.
Nej, jag är inte hungrig. Det är ingen ordning när du inte är hemma.
I have to mention my favorite film because this is the one that I've got some college kids coming home for the winter break, and what film would you recommend? And I always go to my standby, Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb.
Has that plane really got a chance of getting through?
Well, sir, if the pilot's good, see, I mean, if he's really sharp, he can barrel that baby in so low. I mean, you ought to see it sometime. It's a sight. A big plane like a 52.
Stanley Kubrick, one of his first films. It is considered one of the first American independent films because it had a relatively low budget, even though it starred George C. Scott and Peter Sellers, which were pretty popular actors at the time. It is a very interesting movie. It is a comedy about the bomb. And I think it does an incredible job of taking apart the way people were thinking about nuclear war at a time when we were in the midst of the Cold War. There was a lot of fear about what the bomb meant in our community, and if anybody can make it into a comedy, it would be Stanley Kubrick, and it is absolutely brilliant. I think it is something that appeals to even contemporary audiences, not just people that are around from the 60s, and it provides really interesting commentary on that part of our culture. Well, come to the Rochester Public Library with a curious mind, and we will help satisfy some of that curiosity. We have a number of movie lists that can help you find exactly what you're looking for that match your interests, and if you're looking to stretch a little bit, we have movie lists that can help you, challenge you to explore film that might be things that you haven't discovered yet. We have a very rich and deep collection, and we hope that it complements the commercial services that are available in this community.